After working with 60 plus real estate agents and thousands of conversations, here's what I've learned. There's three mindset issues that separate the poor and the rich agents. First one is just how they look at the world. It's not the scenery that needs to change, it's how you look at it. 90% of the game is mindset, whether that's in real estate or in life in general. Your identity or self-concept and the way you think about things and the stories you tell yourself determine what actions you will take. What actions you take will determine what you will have. A good book on this to check out is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. It's a really good book on the self-concept and the idea of how you view yourself is going to determine how you think and therefore what actions you take. To create a new reality, you'll need to create these by reprogramming your subconscious mind, because ultimately that is what is controlling your actions. And maybe I'll create a whole separate video on this if people are interested. Just let me know down in the comments if you are. If you're not happy with your current reality, it's just because of the beliefs and the stories that you've held on to. An example of some of these are, if I pay a company to help me with lead generation, then I'm just going to waste my money or I won't make a return. This is one I hear often from people who have been burned in the past. But the question to be asking yourself is, assuming you've actually picked a good company to work with, is why are other people able to get results and why can I not get these same results? The way the best agents I've come across think about this, and maybe they've had the exact same experience in the past, being burned in the past and not getting a return on their investment either through their fault or the agency that they work with. But the way they think about it is, I've made mistakes, I've learned from these mistakes, and these lessons that I've learned are just going to help me make better decisions in the future and help me get closer to my goal. This is the type of person who doesn't just give up. They continue to invest in themselves and invest in their business. And this doesn't just apply to lead generation, this applies to anything. Something I've noticed working with over 60 plus real estate agents at this point is a big determining factor of their success is actually how good they are themselves. And that's, their mindset and also their skills as well. You may not even have the skills to close online leads, but if you have the mindset of I can learn this, then ultimately you're going to get there. The same way you were able to walk when you were a baby. You didn't just fall over a few times and give up. You carried on and then you were able to walk. So don't be the person who says, if I pay a company to help me with lead generation, I'm wasting my money or I won't make a return. Be the person who looks at the same situation and says, I have to invest to make a return, and past failures are lessons that will guide me closer to a better solution this time. Another issue I see is staying comfortable. I'm guilty of this too in the past. Ultimately, our minds are actually wired to keep us comfortable. Staying comfortable is the antithesis of growth though. If you don't have the motivation to make more money and the why behind it, you probably won't. The people who are too comfortable are often the kinds of people who will say, I just need one more closing before I invest. Then 3 months later, they're still in the same position. Whereas their reality would have been different if they had actually just invested in themselves previously. And they may have just made that decision just because of a lack of self-belief instead of actually just using money as an excuse. These types of people will often not have set goals or will tell me that they want a vague number of transactions, like 1 to 2 transactions per month. But the agents who make the most money and who are hungry, they will always have a specific goal in mind, whether that's a commission goal or a number of transaction goal for the year, and it will be very specific. These are the kinds of agents who do well because their subconscious mind has a target to actually work towards. They're willing to be uncomfortable and put themselves under pressure because they actually want to hit their goal. They're not just saying a number and not having any emotion attached to it. They actually have reasons why they want to hit this goal, and therefore they are far more likely to actually hit their goals and take the actions that are going to take them to hitting their goals. So don't be the person who says, I just need one more closing to invest in myself. Because the reason you're most likely saying that is because your subconscious mind actually wants to keep you safe and comfortable, which is stopping you from growing. Be the person who looks at the same situation and says, this is uncomfortable, but there's no growth in my comfort zone. Even if we just look at nature, I believe we can learn a lot from nature. A plant doesn't just grow without nutrients and water. It needs that investment in order to be able to grow. And it's the same here. And this is not to say you always have to be growing, because you may be happy with where you're at and want to stay there, and that's okay. Although I do also believe if you're not growing, you're dying. Now, if you're in the situation where you're 60 years old, you're looking to retire in a year, then fair enough. You've already made it in life. You don't need to grow. But if that's not you, then you may be in a situation where you do actually need to grow. in order to be able to have the kind of life that you want to have. So in that case, get clear on your why, get clear on your goals, and hopefully you'll actually be able to have the mindset and start taking the actions that you need in order to be able to hit your goals. Because time waits for no one and your competition is coming after your slice of the pie. Third one is a growth versus a fixed or I know it all mindset. Someone who has a growth mindset believes that they can grow and learn any skill that they need to in order to grow their business. And the person who has a fixed mindset believes that they're stuck with the skills and the level that they're at and they can't improve it. Another caveat is, I'm sure you all know agents who have a big ego. This is pretty common in real estate. They think they know everything already, possibly because they get a lot of referral business, but they don't have a clue about how to convert online leads, which are very different to referrals, by the way. These types of agents will automatically blame the leads and say these are bad leads without looking at what they could have done wrong. On the other hand, a good agent will think, what could I have done better? And out of the ones that we've worked with, they will ask us questions, they'll watch all our trainings, which we recommend, and attend our calls on time and ready with questions for us to answer. And surprisingly, these are the people who actually end up getting results. So don't be the agent who says the leads are bad. Be the agent who says, what can I do better to close these leads? So I'd recommend getting clear on what you want, the why behind it, and your goals that will lead to the kind of lifestyle that you want to live. And also just a caveat on that, anything we do is because of an emotion. So if there's no why behind your goal, then you will not hit your goal because your mind needs an emotion to go after. So I'd recommend getting clear on what you actually want in your life, the kind of lifestyle that you want to live, the why behind it, because ultimately we are all always chasing emotions. The reason we do anything in life is because of an emotion that we will feel. And then get clear on the goals that you have for your business. I hope that helps. And if this was useful, please like, comment any questions that you may have, and subscribe, as I'll be putting out a lot more value for you.